So I figured I'd start this YouTube channel with a few mid-level invasions to sort of explain why I don't do them too often anymore. In this first invasion, we see the host to the left and an unusual looking candelabra to the right, which becomes even more unusual when it moves. I'm basically looking to spring this trap without getting blundered. However, I notice another candelabra to the left and find myself in a 3v1. Straight up 2v1s are manageable as long as there is no horrendous lag, meme weapons, or spells being spammed, but in 3v1s your attention is just too divided to properly operate and the blender becomes way too strong. Knowing this, I'm kind of freaking out, just going for turn and burns where I can, trying to avoid the wizardry that the mage has, and we did see a CPV in the first second of this invasion, so I'm pretty scared at the moment. This is not a good situation to be in. If the other phantom was actually pressuring me, I'd probably be dead already. Here I decided to go for a pivot stab because the overleveled phantom is getting a little too bold and he's all alone, and get blasted in the face with a CSS in payment for my boldness. So here I finally managed to clear my head, trying to find the biggest, baddest enemy I possibly can. And hello Lothric Knight, how's it going? Here we witness the first recorded instance of a player getting hit by Dark Edge. History is made. Goddamn. God bless America. So it becomes obvious after a few seconds of dancing around the doorway that they have zero intention of aggroing the Lothric Knight. So I decide, you know what? We'll just go and aggro the Lothric, or we'll just go and fight a 3v1. We'll probably die, but we'll give it a shot. And after trading with Emit Force earlier in the doorway, this phantom has not healed up and he is not leveled Vigor either. The no Vigor meta strikes again. 27 is not enough, folks. Level that shit all the way up to 40 if you can. So anyway, this 3v1 has become 2v1 and the invasion is essentially already won. The host is playing too passively, so we decided to chase down the wizard because he's clearly the biggest threat in the world. And given that he two-hands the sellswords immediately before I poke him, there's only one button he's going to press out of stun lock. Host gets a nice round of applause from me as I assume he's going to the boss door, but he foolishly decides to try and roll his way to safety so he can resummon, and I get to do an edgy gesture over his corpse. So in the previous invasion, I essentially killed a 3v1 with no mob support. Yes, I hung out by a scary enemy for a bit, and yes, my opponents had garbage builds that dealt essentially no damage and had very little health. But those are the type of people you tend to run into quite a lot below soul level 81, and given I invaded for the challenge, these conventional co-opers don't really do it for me anymore. Sure, you can still die, but it's usually 2 lag, magic missiles, meme weapons, or some combination of the 3, all things that just kind of kill invaders with very little lessons to be learned. So my practical options, if I want to continue invading at a mid-level, are either to A, gimp my build to the point that when I do run into that badass kitted out gank squad, I get pounded into the dirt, or B, adopt an unoptimal playstyle. My solution as a tryhard invader has been to treat mid-level invasions as crit fishing practice, going for backstabs whenever I can. This kills 3 birds with 1 stone. First, I have to work harder to win invasions. Second of all, I can actually improve at an aspect of the game I have weaknesses in. And third, if I fuck up a backstab attempt, the damage isn't high enough that I instantly die for one mistake. So anyway, if I see 2 ultra class weapons, say, just as a hypothetical example, the Black Knight Great Axe and Cathedral Knight Ultra Great Sword, I see it as open season. Now, just because I am principally focused on crits does not mean I will exclusively be going for backstabs. When a lot of people are just learning crit fishing, they make the mistake of trying to do damage exclusively through criticals. I like to imagine my opponents as having 2 mental defensive walls, one which guards against critical attacks, and one which guards against rustic play. However, their minds only have enough bricks to fully fortify one of the 2 walls. So every time you hit your opponent with a normal R1, they will be less focused on not getting backstabbed, and a brick is taken from the crit wall and placed on the rustic wall instead. But every time you try to backstab your opponent, a brick is taken from the rustic wall and placed on the crit wall. In short, the less you utilize conventional rustic play, the fewer crits you will actually get, as your opponents will eventually decide that criticals are your only method of doing damage and guard exclusively against them as you desperately continue to trying to do something flashy where conventional R1s would suffice. So, in this invasion, for instance, yes, I go for a lot of backstabs, but I also go for turn and burns, charged R2s, and your standard R1 Estus punish, all in an attempt to keep the wall defending against crits from being built up too high. And this, in my opinion, is optimal crit fishing. The really good fish, the people who are really, really good at fishing, like A Fox or iBarbo, they show off in their flashy montages all the incredible backstabs and parries and swaps that they get. But what they don't show off is the people who just back away forever, because you can't backstab those people, really. And sure, you can maybe parry them if they ever do press R1, but to be entirely honest, that's going to have to be a prediction parry, and those are always risky. And yeah, don't parry spam at me. It's really annoying.
We spawn into the world of Silent Hell. Silent Hell is an overleveled phantom. We immediately go for the guard break on Silent Hell. But the riposte does not finish him off. The Phantom has a super well downscaled Chaos Herald Curved Greatsword. You can tell because it does almost a third of my health in 1R1. It's well downscaled. And it did 947 damage to a little hollow dude. We dance around for a bit and play the spacing game against the passive 2v1. And then we start trying to just whack Silent Hell's buddy in the face. Silent Hell's buddy does a rolling R1 when he shouldn't have and gets his tears popped. And we panic roll a lot and decide maybe it's time to make a tactical retreat. Silent Hell is summoned to blue. We backstab Silent Hell's buddy. Nothing personnel, kid. Back to a 2v1 in a matter of seconds. And then we parry this edgelord's weeaboo katana. That's 2 GG's to you, GG. G is fat rolling. We go for the Estus backstab, punish on GG. But we fuck it up because we're not very good at them yet. We go for the pivot on GG. And that's another GG to you, GG. Silent Hell decides to roll out. He's wary. He's wary of the edgy, nothing personal backstab. He's wary of it again. Not wary enough, though. Silent Hell. Get poked, Silent Hell. Quiet resolve. Quiet resolve for Silent Hell.
So as we saw in the last invasion, one type of backstab I really need to work on is the Estus Punish backstab. I spent a few days trying to figure out the stab and concluded basically 3 total things. First of all, it's almost always a no-go with any weapon with a slow grab box. That would be ultras, axes, hammers, etc. Second of all, it is usually a no-go with any weapon class that isn't a thrusting sword. And third, it is almost always a go with weapons like the rapier, for example. Man, that was wonky. I guard broke him off the damn ledge. The reason why the rapier is so good is because it has an incredibly long grab box. It lasts a long time, which can lead to some really wonky looking backstabs. And additionally, the rapier has, I believe, the highest crit damage for its class, so it is the optimal backstab stick a lot of the time if you're going for just the grab. So, knowing this, I have decided that the optimal crit fishing build is main hand greatsword with second slot rapier. Both of them operate as great backstab sticks, but the rapier also serves as a fast chase down option that can force panic rolls and is really good for backstabbing Estus, while the greatsword serves as obvious rolls as a weapon that does a shit ton of poise damage two-handed, and a weapon that has a reasonable amount of poise health. Two essential roles to be filled on any optimized invasion build. He comes out swinging here, catches me kind of by surprise, and I fuck up the Estus punish backstab. But check out this wonky shit. So he goes in the doorway, he's blocking, he gets guard broken, and then I backstab him. Even though I'm wearing the Hornet Ring, because he's in the guard broken state, I don't get the Hornet backstab animation. But he does take full Hornet Ring backstab damage. And yeah, I'm aware this is basically a montage right now, but the rest of it was just like me going for dumb backstabs that never would work out. Basically ignoring the advice I gave. But at the end of this, it does come right down to the wire. He's totally drained my Estus as I go for dumb shit, even though he's fat rolling. And basically it's just me trying to figure out when to poke in between and around his hyper armor so that I don't get smacked in the face by a big old fucking exile greatsword. And eventually I see he's not going to get hit by backstabs anymore and just go full rustic. I'm almost dead. He's out of Estus. I finally ever so slightly eke out the win, knocking off his last 7 points of HP, with 2 remaining myself. So, hell of a fight. GG's, man. So our other solution to what is essentially boredom with mid-level invasions is to try and invade post-pontiff, because at least there might be a few tryhard ganks there that we can fight. Because most of the invasions that we encounter everywhere else play out exactly like this one, and to be entirely fair, most of the invasions we encounter post-pontiff play out like this one too. Just 2 normal guys playing through the game. The fact that the gold is not password summoned makes me suspect that he is actually a random entirely, and he does this highly parryable weapon art on reaction, at least if there's a good connection. And from here, the invasion plays out pretty much how you'd expect. I do dumb stuff like walk into his range as he backpedals away with a straight sword, and I basically end up winning this because he's not intelligent enough, or experienced enough rather, to not do more than 2 R1s when there's a parry tool out. So even though I continuously get blendered by his straight sword R1 barrage, I am still going to win this, simply because I have 1 extra bit of knowledge and I can't be bothered to pull out a curved greatsword and just mop his face off the earth with running R1s. So there's riposte number 1. He heals once, but it's just not enough to survive the second one. And yeah, I could have taken the Hornet Ring off against these guys, but to be entirely honest, I am not particularly interested in fighting uber passive straight sword man any longer than I have to, especially considering he's not competent enough to avoid swinging 3 times into a parry tool. So I keep it on. And this last one is a doozy. This is an actual gank, as far as I can tell. 2 password summon phantoms. One of them using the power of lag and the Farron meme sword to just ruthlessly murder invader after invader. None of them are particularly competent, but again, lag and the Farron meme sword is a tournament-ready build. Truly deadly opponent. So we immediately drop down after they've finished blundering that initial first invader, and we get this first guy in a bit of roll catch hell. Not quite sure how, considering our connection, but apparently the greatsword is just, it transcends time and latency. I make a mistake there by not going for a second R1 after I pop his tears, and then the plunge attack from the greatsword says no, unfortunately, and I am forced to panic roll away. Up here, a second backup invader invades, a 904 *****, star, and that is going to be, I'm sure, super great backup. But we also have an Aldrich Faithful buddy, and we're going to duke it out in a 3v3 in this small room where they don't have friendly fire and we do. So as you can expect, it's going to go pretty badly for us. The guy who casts Spook over there is getting absolutely blendered. I bank on the Claymore's range, and that guy panic rolled just out of it. I'm over here just reaction rolling Black Knight Sword R1s, and me and Dragon Slayer's Axeman decide to make a slight retreat after the purple gets blendered. We just don't want to fight in that room anymore. It's too small and cramped. But unfortunately, Dragon Slayer's Axeman does not manage to finish off the Farron Lag Sword. I do not respect Perseverance. We both get blendered, but the difference is I have leveled Vigor. So anyway, they all drop down. I don't have the camera angle to reaction roll their plunge attacks, so we run back up to this little ledge and try and set up an ambush. I love this little ledge because, first of all, they can't really see you if they're not being cautious. And second of all, they can't really fight you if they don't have the tailbone spear. Which is why it is meta as fuck over 351. Soul level 351, to be clear. We can reaction roll those plunge attacks. And then we basically are just going to repeat the loop if we can. Try and get back up to that platform. This will give time for co-invaders to come into our world. Co-invaders like this one. A terrible Henri cosplay, but hopefully useful nonetheless. This guy pauses and just starts letting me hit him with a greatsword. I don't respect the medium shield parry because, frankly, in 29, latency tends to be so bad that medium shield parries, especially setup parries against the second swing of a greatsword, tend to be borderline impossible to pull off. He goes for it again, I go for the backstab but mess it up, and he unfortunately gets iframes on the fall. Go for the weapon art R2 wake up. You see how he takes damage a second later there? That means he would have been dead if not for lag. Thank you. Thank you for not putting a ping filter in 2018. FromSoft, thank you. We appreciate it. Getting chased down by 2 thrusting swords and a crossbow. Kind of a real issue. Pokey weapons in general are great for chase downs. Pretty much the only weapons that an invader should be using. Over there, you can see we have an Aldrich Faithful buddy with affinity up. He tries to fight or PL meme me off the ledge. It's not effective, but I am foolish enough to panic roll myself off the ledge, and I forfeit my opportunity to finish off that overleveled meme phantom. Cut ahead to when Moonlit Boy invades. He's a wizard wearing the mage ears. I'm sure he will be of immeasurable help. Mages tend to be terrible co-invaders. Probably go over that in a later video. So we head back up the ramparts to try and meet the gankers. Our other co-invader is BR Wayne the Rock, who is not wearing the cat ring and is using the Demon's Fists. Truly a terrifying co-invader. I'm sure he'll be of great help and won't get blendered and die in 3 seconds. They both have Perseverance, so we decided to roll off, fight a different day. Delay our R1 to panic roll catch. He decides to contest here. Smart decision on his part, and I just panic rolled for a bit because I really did not expect that. Caught me by surprise. Panic rolling for a bit again here. Decide maybe it's time to start reaction rolling again. Host is rolling in too aggressively. We haven't seen him like at all this entire time, you'll notice. It's always been us fighting the Phantoms, and BR Wayne gets blendered. So we back up a little more. The overleveled Phantom also has Soothing Sunlight because... and the host does a cocky welcome gesture because, as we all know, he's very impressed with his ability to not do anything while his overleveled Phantoms essentially run at me and press R1. Now he's edge walking. What a true champion. The laggy password Phantom has pulled out Gundir's Halberd. He apparently knows all the best gank weapons. Farron, Gundir's Halberd, and this genius blocks with a low stability shield. after having R1 3 times with a rapier. This guy is at this point just like his connection is so uncertain to me that I barely can reaction roll him. And I'm essentially just going for reaction rolls at any time I see movement. Go for some unlocked greatsword R1s there. Not quite as good as a straight sword, but they definitely have a wider reach. So that is one advantage to be sure. And then I get lazy with the camera and take a Gundir's charge to the back of the head. Especially lethal considering it can't be spaced because this guy is so incredibly laggy. Plug in an Ethernet cable, 2018, 2019, whenever, please, soon. Pulls the Black Knight sword out. I wonder what he's going to do. Perseverance again. Could be trying to backstab it, but frankly, I just consider it too risky with his lag. Swaps from Gundir's back to the Farron. Apparently he decided he was having more success ganking with that one. Host backs off, and you'll have noticed that a Phantom finally died to a co-invader in the distance. Actually managed to space the Farron, even with lag. And finally our co-invaders managed to finish off the host. You get a point down for having a connection that is just absolutely god-awful. Thanks for watching.